Welcome to PanAfricare Kenya. My name is Dominic Kibet. Today we are in Lolupe training the farmers on their field day. We are training the farmers on the furrow irrigation system, and behind me they are already doing the work. So in this video I will be explaining what the IMPACT program funded by the Bear Fund has done in Lolupe farm. So join me. Across this farm there is water points that will act as irrigation points, and an example of that is this one. You can see, so pipes has been laid underground connecting the entire farm. So this is an example of a watering point. The pipe will be connected here, and then this one will be opened. I don't know if there's any water right now. Yes, there's water. This one. See, there's water. Then there's several points, like this one over there. So as you can see, the land is very dry, but with water it's possible to do farming here. So there's pipes underground. So this is an example of how the pipe will be connected. So this pipe you see here, it runs all the way to the other side. There's another farm over there. It runs the other. So this water comes from a borehole, also constructed by the program. It's you can't see that, but it's on the other side, around maybe 300 meters away. So all these are sections of the farm that farmers will farm, and water here is a real change. Water here is it's a deal maker. Let me put it that way. And you can see there's a permanent fence over here. So farmers here have a challenge of there's agro-pastoralist conflict, and to make it more sustainable farming, the program has constructed a really good fence here for the farmers, which is more permanent than the the stick fence. There's a lot of hope here, and the farmers here are very, very hopeful that finally they are able to produce food in a more sustainable way, because they have water, there's fence over there. So the issue of conflict between the pastoralists here and the farmers is no longer there. Most of the neighbors, the neighbors are pastoralists. They have goats. They have, I don't know if you can see, there are goats over there. So there's usually that conflict between the farmers and the pastoralists. So anything green on the farm is really something attractive for the animals. So okay, let's join the farmers. So we have someone training them on how to do this. This is a guy who trains it. So this is way it's called furrow system. We'll have him explain later on how the system works. So they have to measure it using this thread. I think just to provide a straight line. And they have these ridges dug. We'll try and get the trainer to explain to us what's happening. Someone is seated over there, following from the background. Can you tell us more about furrow? How it, what you're doing here?
Yeah, this is Lolupe farm.
Okay.
Supported by PanAfricare, and these are the pastoralist farmers. They are pastoralists in nature, but we are trying to introduce them to agriculture as an alternative source of livelihood.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to introduce them to furrow irrigation,
Yes.
agriculture, and this is what we call the furrow, and it is within this shamba.
Yes.
That is 20 meters by 20 meters.
Yeah.
That we would want them to use this method of agriculture to use little space to produce more products, more production from crops. And in this piece of land, they will divide it into 4 quarters, of which they can also do something called continuous production. But in 4 quarters, they will plant or they will grow 4 types of crops, 1 in each quarter. Mostly desert adapted crops. That is sorghum, cowpea, some bit of maize, green gram, watermelon, butternut squash, and some vegetables also like kale, that is sukuma-wiki, spinach, tomato also. Those are high value crops. And the technology here is Israeli adopted, because the same furrow here will be used as the pathway for water, and at the same time they will plant crops into this furrow here.
So the crops will be planted on top?
The crops will be planted within the furrow, and then the water will be flooded. The furrows will be flooded from the end, and the water will flow by gravity within the furrow. This furrow serves 3 purposes. 1, it is space for planting crops. Secondly, it is the pathway for water used to irrigate it. And third, it can also be used to add compost or fertilizer to this crop. So within this space, the spacing of the crops will also help them plant more crops here, and they will produce a lot of food within the little space possible. Unlike just the basin irrigation that is susceptible to growing of more weeds, as we have seen in the other model farm there. When they were using basin, they were doing more weeds were coming than when you use the furrow. The advantage of the furrow is you can control your crops. When the crops germinate, you are in a position to use the space here to move along the furrow, and then you will remove the weeds as you leave the crops only to grow.
Okay.
Okay. And this is the most economical way to them, unlike using the drips that are very expensive and unaffordable for them. Now that they have a lot of water, so flood irrigation using the furrows is very reliable for them, and also they can adopt it easily. You can see the way they're already doing it themselves.
Yes.
And the fact that I'm explaining to them in the same language, the fact that I'm explaining to them in Turkana, that is their own language, makes them own the process. And once they own the process, that means the project will be viable to them.
Okay.
Just that.
Okay. So the furrows are gradually filling up with water. So, Francis, what's the purpose of these breeds here?
Yeah. This breed here has two roles.
Okay.
Or has two purposes. One, it divides this shamba into 4 quarters.
Okay.
The reason being, the farmer is in a position to plant or to grow 4 variety of crops. One in this quarter, another one in this quarter, and the other one in the other quarter, and the other quarter there.
Okay.
And also, it also provides the pathway. It will be like the pathway for the farmer to be moving around this shamba, monitoring about the weeds, and also doing crop treatment when there will be some crop diseases affecting the crops in these little plots.
Gradually filling up until all these furrows get filled up. So after the water settled on the furrows, you can see there's a difference between this and this one, which is freshly watered. So after the water is settled for this, the planting now happens, and now they're showing how the planting happens. So when this furrow fills up, they move the pipe to the next one, like this one. There's a pipe. They move, fills up this, that one fills up all across the furrows. So this water here will get sucked up inside the soil and it dries up like this, but the water is still inside here. Now the planting is continuing. That's how furrow irrigation happens. The importance of having a specialist like Francis here is that they can transfer knowledge to the community on how to do this kind of farming. It's very key to have someone like him to just teach the farmers on how this is supposed to happen. So this little demo session acts as a place of learning for the farmers. It's learning by doing. So what I'm realizing is that a single furrow like this can have 3 rows of 3 rows with seeds being planted to them. See that? So the easiest way of measuring the distance between the holes is by use of a hand. As you can see the way he's doing it, just using the hand to measure the distance between the holes. It should be 15 to 20. Okay. And the simple way of measuring is just by the hand. Okay.
That is the one they can do.
Umejifunza hii kitu leo? Umejifunza? Umeelewa venye wanafanya? Umeelewa? Ah, okay. Yeah. So I'm asking her if she's understood, and she's saying she has understood how the system works. So Francis was telling me once the water has been flooded like this, it can remain that way for at least 3 days, 2 to 3 days, and then the next watering comes in. Also, depending on the kind of crop you're growing, the frequency of watering can be addressed by the crop. Like sorghum right now, they are growing sorghum 2 to 3 days. It's okay. Maybe 3rd day, this other side can be irrigated again. This is a borehole that supplies that fills the farm. All the water that irrigates the farm comes from this borehole right here. So all the boreholes constructed by the program are fitted with solar panels. They generate power to pump water out. So these are the panels. This is a kind of a station. It's locked under lock and key. So the chairman or someone responsible comes and switches it on and off. And these are the storage tanks. Okay, this is also a point whereby you can control the water. There's a filter here. There's a filter that cleans the water before it goes to the piping system. When the unfiltered water goes to the piping, it has the danger of getting blocked. So that's the reason we have a filter inside here. Then you have these 2 tanks that when water is pumped, it gets stored there and then it flows to the farm. See the solar there, and then we have the actual where the ball was drilled here. There's a pump inside. So this is how it is. There are a number of farms which have this kind of infrastructure supported by the program, spread across the 2 wards we currently support. Yes, I don't know if you can hear there's water entering the tanks right now because there's sun. Whenever there's sun, water is getting pumped. Yeah. Thank you. See you next time.